For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Breathing. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Breathing.
Thank you very much, Larson. That never gets old. No, it does get old. It got old on week 2 when we started doing this. But thanks for tuning in. Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. We're at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. In full health this week. You might recall last week a little bit sick under the weather, so we didn't have a celebrity guest. We've got Harry Wayne Casey from Casey and the Sunshine Band coming up later in the show. A little bit of a retro flashback. And also, we talked about Kendra Wilkinson and her 6-year-old son who baths with her, showers with her, has seen her naked, has met Hugh Hefner, and has even seen Playboy magazine at 6 years old. We talked about that. We got lots of emails from you last week, and I definitely want to get Bonnie Winters, our executive producer, on the line. She's not here today, but I'm going to call her at home. And I want her opinion on this, because as a mother, as a grandmother, and she's just, quite frankly, very uptight and very conservative and, or, you know, sort of a prude. I want to hear what her thoughts are on this story, because when it comes to something in a sexual connotation or a little bit off the wall, I always want to hear her opinion. So I imagine we're going to have a good time chatting with Bonnie. So that's coming up in just a little bit. And as I said, Casey and the Sunshine Band a little bit later in the show. Happy Easter, by the way, if you're listening to this over Easter weekend, and enjoying all the chocolate, because it's chocolate overload sometimes. I know when I was a kid, you could never have too much chocolate. As we were growing up and we were doing our family get-togethers, you know, my grandma, my aunt and uncle, my parents would still give me chocolate bunnies or chocolate, those chocolate eggs or whatever it is. And as I got older, I found that I was able to eat less and less of it. So as you're a kid, you can just pack into the chocolate. Or maybe it's just me because I don't have a sweet tooth. But as I got older, I almost found like, oh, another chocolate bunny. I'm not even going to be able to finish the one that I got from so-and-so, and now I've got this, right? It's weird. And I should ask Bonnie if we've got time, but yeah, I know that she's never met a chocolate bunny she didn't like. She will devour that, no problem. But for me, it just ends up sitting there and it gets old and I end up throwing it out. My one problem that I had as a kid was, yes, it's a chocolate bunny. It's in the shape of a rabbit. It always bothered me when my big brothers or my dad would take the bunny and smash it up so that it was more just kind of chocolate chunks and they would eat it that way. I was never able to do that. I always felt that was way too cruel to the bunny. Again, it's chocolate. But I was never able to just take a hammer and just beat the hell out of a chocolate bunny. I don't know. I never did it. I had no problem eating one, starting at the ears. That's always where I started. But yeah, just couldn't smash the hell out of one with a hammer. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Do you have any Easter stories? Would love to hear those. Send me an email live at jbonair.com, live at jbonair.com, or tweet us at The Scribble Show. Always love getting your tweets. Last week when we had tweeted about Madonna and her drunken antics on stage and she's going for custody of her teenage son, we got one of the funniest tweets ever, and Bonnie, our producer, had sent it to me. She sent me a screenshot of just somebody writing, "Go F yourself." It was just sort of uncalled for, because when you think in the grand scheme of things, terrorist attacks, racism, hatred, bigotry, whatever, the fact that somebody was so worked up that they decided to respond to somebody publicly that they don't know, go F yourself, and then go on about this whole it's misogynistic and blah, blah, blah. Well, Bonnie Winters is the one who does our tweeting. And so as a female, this person just didn't make sense, because it's like you're telling off a woman, calling them a misogynist. Like, it doesn't really make sense. So anyway, had a good laugh about that. And we need to go to the authority when it comes to nudity. There's only one person I need to talk to. All right, so I've got to get our producer, Bonnie Winters, on the phone. Coincidentally, not here today, all the time whenever we're taping a show. So where are you today? You're just at home, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right, good. She called in sick. She's just at home. She's got
I did not.
clutching her bottle of wine. She's good to go.
Working working from home.
Oh my. Okay, so there's the story that we had on the show last week, and everybody's been still chiming in about it. It doesn't seem like it's made incredible headlines around the world, but it definitely struck a chord with our listeners. So let's just recap this again. Playboy model Kendra Wilkinson said she's cool with her son looking at Playboy and seeing mom naked. Now, her son is 6 years old. Wilkinson said her kid Hank has seen pictures from the Dirty magazine already. Did I mention that he's 6 years old? So of this, Wilkinson said, "Of course I would let little Hank see my Playboy. He sees me naked every day. I have no shame. We take baths together. We take showers together. If you hide something, then it becomes more like taboo. A body is a body. It's not taboo anymore. I'm so glad we're breaking through those walls." She went on to say that her kid has seen porn in the way of Playboy pages, and he's also getting chummy with Hugh Hefner. She adds, little Hank has already been in his office. Little Hank's already seen the nude magazines. He's already seen them. He's cool. Bonnie Winters, you're a grandmother. You've got children. You've got a grandson. Your grandson older than little Hank, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, what do you, as a mom, first of all, let's forget the grandkid thing. As a mom, first of all, how old were your kids when they saw you in Playboy?
No, never happened.
Okay, so they haven't seen her in Playboy yet. Okay, well, we'll...
I was never there.
Now, what do you think about that? There's two sides to this story, right? People are saying it's great that she's comfortable and she's not making him feel awkward about the nudity, but at the same time, is there an age when you should stop doing it? What do you think of this story?
Oh, JB. There's always people from a variety of camps, right, that have their opinions. And I have to admit, though, with things like that, I am a traditionalist through and through. I really am. I just think, let the kids be kids. They don't need to know too much too soon. That's how I look at it.
Now, you actually, when you did your spread, you didn't even show ankle, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't do it. Man. You stop that.
We're gonna tweet those pictures of Bond's spread. You had a couple of folds. It was in the paper, right?
Boy, you want to talk about folds.
Okay, so
gravity folds.
But here's the thing. Now, not that... And Playboy this year has done away with nudity anyway. Now it's a PG-13 magazine, which I think will be the downfall of that. But, who needs a magazine like that when you've got the internet full of porn? But at 6 years old, I'm not even sure... I guess I knew what nudity was. I would never have heard of Playboy, I think, when I was 6 years... I mean, I've got an 8 and a 6-year-old nephew. You could probably say Playboy, they would have no idea what that means or what that is.
Well, that's refreshing. But good to hear.
Well, I would expect that they wouldn't, but, that's just those things. Like, it's not like it's Hustler or like a hardcore, porn magazine, because that's, you don't want to have a picture of, like, actual sex, right? That's where it's probably crossing the line. But at the same time, people are applauding her for being open and, making her son feel comfortable with, bodies and that he could maybe ask questions or what have you. If it's not done in a sexual way, is it harming the son? Is it exposed, boobs are boobs, right? It's not like she's doing anything sexual. It's just like when people go to a nude beach or there's nudists. You have kids, you've got adults there. Is that any different?
Boy, you sure get into this, don't you, JB? Let me see. No, I still think it's important to let kids be kids. And they don't need to know about all that stuff at such a young age.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, if it's body parts and it's nothing sexual, I agree that looking at Playboy magazine for a 6-year-old is a little bit out of line. But, there's, and I'm not too familiar with the whole nudist thing, but I do know that families will go out together and be nude on a beach or live a nudist lifestyle. There's nothing sexual about it. It's more kind of a natural freedom sort of a thing.
Well, I'm not into that either, so I don't know. I guess I would be considered a real prude.
let's not get into the things that you've done in your day, Bon. But I'll admit though, I wouldn't at that age. I don't know that I'd want to see my family members naked. I don't think that at that age, I don't think that you're mature enough to have hormones raging and looking at it as a sexual way. I do feel that at 6 years old, you shouldn't be showering with your parents.
Goodness, no. Everybody has a different opinion. Obviously, there's people out there, like you say, who feel very relaxed with this sort of thing. And I don't even think it's so much a question of feeling relaxed with it. I think it's more a question of kids are growing up too fast in this day and age. And I think they need more time to be kids. There's so much access to information out there, and not always good information. And I really think it's important for kids to be protected from that and have a chance to be a kid.
Well, and I think you have a point there too, right? Because if he's not seeing boobs or nudity as sexual in his home life, other kids don't have that exposure, so to speak, and it's going to come across as being sexual. If he's in, let's say, grade 6 or going into junior high, and he starts talking about nudity and how he's carefree, that's almost kind of like your kid's a pervert, right? Because teenagers or young kids aren't able to draw that line between non-sexual nudity and just okay nudity that, I'm happen to be taking a shower, so I'm naked.
Well, yeah, there's a point where they just don't know the difference.
Right.
So why make it available for them to know when they're not even at an age where they could even understand it? It's just too much too soon.
And it could be awkward too, because then you've got the child going to his either friends at school or even just having discussion. I could see that being a walk to the principal's office, because it's like, little Hank here is talking about, his mom being in Playboy and he's seen it and whatever. I mean, now that's inappropriate talk, and it could almost come across as sexual harassment, depending on who he's saying it to.
Sure. Red flags all over the place,
So you think that she's doing a disservice then to her son, who's 6 years old?
Well, that would be my opinion, for what it's worth. And I'm sure there are a myriad of people out there with different opinions on it. And everybody has an opinion, right?
And we want to hear those opinions. You can email live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com, or actually tweet Bonnie, because she's at The Scribble Show on Twitter, at The Scribble Show. And just to put you at ease...
tweet Bonnie.
And for what it is worth, Bon, your opinion doesn't mean too much. We have we just have a few short seconds. Let's get serious though for a little bit, because another terrorist attack. This is getting a little bit weird and concerning that it's happening more frequently now.
Oh yes, seems like every time you turn on the TV, there's something.
Does this make you nervous about traveling or going somewhere?
I wouldn't say it makes me nervous. Cautious, perhaps. More cautious than I would normally be.
Would it make you reconsider where you're going? Because as we've seen, New York, big city, right? Paris, huge city. Would it make you think twice about going to a large center like that? Would you maybe fly to a smaller American city or a smaller Canadian city just because you don't think that would be on the map of a terrorist? Well,
JB, what are you going to do if you're a business person and you have to be at some of these major centers? People are flying here, there, and every way. They have to be where they have to be. And I think people are, if you're planning holidays or whatever, maybe people are being a little more cautious about where they're going. But there are a lot of business people out there. They have to be at a major center regardless of what's going on, unless flights are canceled. But I think you just have to continue to live your life, and so be it.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to be living the good life next month when we celebrate 10 years on the radio for our syndicated show, Top of the Charts. I know you've been with us since almost day one. Do you want to tell everybody where we're headed at the end of April, or... should we wait?
I think we should wait.
Should wait? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Let's do some build-up and make it a big surprise.
It's exciting. It is. We're going to do a really big celebration. Bon, we've got to take a break, but in the next segment, I know we've got one of your favorites, Casey and the Sunshine Band. That's the way, I like it. You know that song.
Oh, that takes me back.
Well, when we come back...
Don't say way back.
Well, no, but Harry Wayne Casey will be joining us in the next segment to talk about, the group is still touring, he's still making music, and he was actually just in Mexico on a cruise. We're going to talk with Harry Wayne Casey right after this. Thanks for joining us, Bon.
Thanks, JB. You always catch me off guard every time.
Well, I'll get to work once in a while.
I'm working. See you later, JB.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Harry Wayne Casey, or Casey, from Casey and the Sunshine Band, joining us on the line. Hey, Casey, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. So I gotta say, still rocking after all these years. Your music is known by generations and generations. How does that feel?
It feels great. I set out to create music that would bring happiness into people's lives and a new energy and, the positive energy. And I'm happy to see that, 40 some odd years later that the music is still doing that for people.
Now, you've been called the founder of the dance revolution, so it's not just a matter of making good music. You want music that people move to. They're not just going to sit still, they have to get up and move, right?
Yes.
So what's the secret to doing that?
I just felt music was really dark at the time. I went about finally finding where my niche was or whatever. And I just wanted to, it was the beginning of the 70s, and we were going through the gas crisis. We were just coming out of the Vietnam War. I just felt music had gotten really dark, and I just wanted to create this music that was just all up-tempo, like you could go to a party or something and put an album on and just flip it over, and side A and B was, just have a good time. And, there was like, back then, you'd have a couple up-tempo songs on a record, then the rest would be just kind of put you to sleep. And I just wanted to break that mold a little bit.
So you mentioned the 70s, and, a lot of that music is still popular today, right? We've got Village People, Gloria Gaynor, yourself. What is it about that music, then? Is it just that it makes us feel carefree, or it's just a good beat?
I think it's the energy. It's the energy in the music, the positive message in the music. It does make you feel carefree. It makes you feel young again. It makes you feel, if you're young, it makes you, I don't know. If you're young, I think it does the same thing for everybody. It just makes everybody feel carefree and, younger than they even are. If you're 18, I think it makes you feel like you're a kid again. I just think it's such an energy in it. It's the really last bit of music that really had real studio musicians playing the instruments, where it was really heartfelt. Every note on those records pretty much was heartfelt from a musician's fingers or what was, and I just think it was all of that in those records that just makes them pop out and stand out the way they do now.
I was going to say
the last time you would really start hearing a lot of real musicians play music.
I guess the real answer is, hey, if it's working, who cares?
Correct, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you said that, you were young at the time, and I know music is sort of in you from the very beginning. What was it? You worked in a record store, right?
I grew up in a musical family. My mother loved to dance. I grew up listening to R&B music. I grew up in a Pentecostal church where the music was always around us. So I was always around. I've never not been around music. My grandfather loved music. So I've been around music my entire life. So I lived and breathed it. And it was very natural for me. Natural thing for me to do and a natural thing for me to, attach myself to.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Back talking with the legendary Harry Wayne Casey from Casey and the Sunshine Band. You talk about the music industry back then. Oh, I'd love to know your thoughts about where it's at right now. Is it in a good place? Is it going downhill, uphill? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't even know if there is it's like, it's so confusing anymore. I don't even know where it's at. It's definitely not what it was when I grew up. You had record stores, you had actual product being pressed. You went to a store, you looked around, you listened to music in the store, and you talked with other people, and you shared your likes and dislikes with other people in the store, and communicated. And now everything's done within your own home, and it's just all electronic, and there's no physical thing you hold in your hand and look at anymore, other than the name of the song and the artist on your phone. You don't even know who wrote the songs anymore, who produced them. There's some things good about it because you get it instantly and you don't have to travel somewhere to pick it up. But then there's parts of it that I think that are missing. Just the fact that of going into a store and browsing through the things and then, I meant to get that record. You don't think about that when you're looking on iTunes or Amazon or whatever to browse through Amazon to it. You kind of go in there, get what you want, and that's about it.
And I think it's also too a matter of appreciating that one song by the one artist as opposed to going and getting the album like you're saying and enjoying the 12, 14, 15 songs on the entire disc, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that's changed, a lot. And I can understand some of it, but now you can buy any song. You can just put an album, listen to an album, and pick 5 songs off that you like. You don't even have to get the whole album anymore. So, there might be some great things on there, and unfortunately, the snippets they put on for you to listen to doesn't even really give you a great idea of what the whole production's going to be, and you're not allowed to listen to the whole thing. So, I mean, streaming's doing that, but streaming's also ripping off the writers and the artists at the same time. It's just, I don't know. I don't even know how they call it a record business anymore.
It almost seems like, it seems like the love is taken out of the music, and it's now just so manufactured quick to be the next big hit, and there you go.
Well, it's corporate America. Welcome to corporate America.
Right.
The corporations have taken over, and, used to when an artist would sign with a label, they would get a 5-year deal, they would cut 5 records, the A&R department, the company would be behind them, would be involved in it, and now, they'll give you one deal, one record. If it doesn't happen, you're done. You don't even get, and Fleetwood Mac would be over with if they put out a record today, because I remember when I worked in the record store and people would come in and just special order, the first 2 Fleetwood Mac albums. And it was very interesting. They'd come and order, you have the Fleetwood Mac album? No, I don't. I have to special order it. And, you'd have these random people come in and order this record. In today's standards, that wouldn't happen. The second album wouldn't even happen, and then the third, we never would have gotten to those great songs of Don't Stop, and just all those great Fleetwood Mac songs. Would have never happened if they had put it out on our record today through a record label situation.
Yeah.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back talking with Harry Wayne Casey from the legendary group Casey and the Sunshine Band. So we were talking about the music industry and how it's just so manufactured and so corporate. Okay, so let's talk about quality music. And I've never written a song before, but how do you do it? How does it start? Do you have just a few words or lines in your head and then add music to it? Is there a process? How does it all start?
I mean, it happens in a lot of different ways. Sometimes you have the title, or you get the melody, or sometimes you have the music first, or sometimes, you know, a couple words, and then you just, you know, it's like whenever you were writing a paper in school or whatever, not that you would have your main subject, and then you would have your subcategories underneath the main subject, or you say like, let's go out tonight. So you just think of things about let's go, you know, what you're going to do going out tonight and stuff, and you form the song around that particular title or whatever. Or it's written about a certain story or a life experience or some other experience that you observe or something you feel inside of you. So there's a lot of different things that go into writing a song. A lot of times you definitely draw from your life's experiences and the feelings that are inside of your head and what's, you know, going on inside of your life, pretty much.
Let's talk about experiences. You've had, again, decades of success in the music business. You've toured, you've recorded, you've won awards, you've done everything. Can you, I don't even know if you can you pick out one instance that is the highlight so far of your career?
Well, I mean, winning the Grammy Award, getting the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, getting a star in Palm Springs Walk of Fame, the American Music Award. I mean, you know, the greatest achievements really is getting that opportunity to get up on the stage and be before the fans and the people that have supported you, and to share that moment with them, because until you get up on stage, we have no connection with our fans other than, wow, you've sold a record or two records, you've sold 1 million records. Well, where's the million people? And until you get out there on the stage and really get to witness what the music has done and feel the love and share the love between you and the fans, it's like, that's really the biggest reward, I think. I mean, all the other things are just wonderful, but that personal experience with the fans is something you can't replace, or you can't. I don't know where I was going with that, but
yeah, no, absolutely. And so, I mean, you're still giving it to your fans because you're touring. You've got a whole bunch of appearances. Mexico is coming up, right?
Yes, there's 3 ships, Carnival ships that are coming into port, and we're going to get on each one of them and do a show 3 nights in a row. 3 different ships.
Right. Now, do you have any new music coming out? Are you still writing? Are you producing anything?
I have the top number 20 song on the Billboard Dance Club chart right now, a song called I'm Feeling You. And it's climbing the dance club charts, and we'll see where it goes from there. We have a new album of original material that will soon be released in the next year or so. And we just released an album of Feeling You the 60s, which is a cover of 17 songs from the 60s. And then our first Christmas album was released this past November. So we just got a lot of things going on, and just going to continue to tour and make music and have fun and enjoy what I love doing.
I was going to say, see, that's the key, right? No signs of slowing down. You're finding new ways to keep excited, and that's awesome.
No time to slow down now.
And so all the information about everything is on the band's website, right?
Yes. But, everything's pretty much on there. Our tour dates is on there. You know, if you want to shop and buy merchandise, it's on there. If you want to look at photos, everything's there. Usually the news is updated. You can also go to Casey and the Sunshine Band Facebook, Casey and the Sunshine Band, or Casey Sunshine B on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. We'll be sure to check it out. Well, thank you so much. And again, congratulations on your decades of success. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you very much.
We've got even more of our celebrity interviews at speakfreecelebwatch.com, or you can also just subscribe to the podcast, because a lot of the guests that we've had on Top of the Charts and the Open Road are syndicated radio shows. We also have here on the podcast, so if people can't tune in to a local radio station or streaming online at a certain time, well, we don't feel that you should have to miss out on those interviews and our celebrity friends, so we do make them available here on the podcast, and then also at speakfreecelebwatch.com. Entertainment headlines whenever you want them at the entertainmentwrapup.com website, entertainmentwrapup.com. So we talked about Kendra Wilkinson and the latest Kardashian drama and Madonna drama and everything else that's happening with the rich and famous. So that's at entertainmentwrapup.com. In the coming weeks, we've got a really cool show coming up at the beginning of April for Dreams Take Flight. That's Air Canada's charitable initiative where they load up a plane in Canada and take a group of kids to Orlando to Disney. It's either California or Orlando, depending on where they are in the country, and they spend a day at Disney. Now, I mentioned this the other week on the podcast here, and we're going to be broadcasting live from Orlando, so that's going to be really fun talking with the kids and just seeing their faces, so I hope you stay tuned for that. I will talk to you next time right here on The Scribble. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,